Hello, folks. This is Friday, the 25th of February. It's time for another thought for the day, another chat together, I suppose. Uh, there can only be one thought, surely, uppermost in our minds this week. Just when we thought things couldn't get any worse, we're now confronted with the situation between Russia and Ukraine, something that's basically right on our doorstep. You know, friends, we've had a terrible run of things in the not too distant past. We've had climate change knocking at the door and being publicised for a number of years now. We've had the pandemic, a worldwide pandemic, with us for a couple of years. Following hard on the heels of that, or because of that, we have had countless churches, not only here but across the world. Countless churches have closed, never to open again. And we've got this phenomenon which is being labelled the Great Resignation. It's affected Christian churches again throughout the world. It's that phenomenon of people across the church spectrum. I'm talking about pastors, elders, deacons, those in leadership, right down to those who have any responsibility at all, down to those who are in leadership in departments and organisations in various churches. We just have them stepping away from church and not re-engaging, not coming back at all. It is being labelled the Great Resignation. Folks, that we've gone through the book of Revelation not all that long ago, and we're told not only to expect all these things, wars and upheavals and so forth and disasters, but we're also to expect near the very end a great falling away from those who profess to be followers of Jesus. And maybe this great resignation is going on across the globe, people walking away from churches and not coming back. Maybe that's just the great falling away that we've been warned about. But anyway, we have to pray, of course, and I hope you're already doing this. Pray for the situation in Ukraine and surrounding Ukraine. As I said, I hope you're already doing that. We'll be praying specifically for Ukraine on Sunday. In fact, as a church, we'll be doing a little more than that. I'll be announcing on Sunday that our prayer meeting on Tuesday will be given over largely to the topic of Ukraine and praying against the war, praying for diplomacy, for common sense to prevail, rather than this to descend into a situation that's even worse than we've got at the moment. I know it's early days yet. The invasion, although it's been talked about for a wee while, it only happened a day or two ago, and people are still wondering just whether we should take this seriously or not. We're all, of course, hoping that it'll blow over quickly, but again, history tells us that when the Great War started, the First World War started, people thought it'll be over by Christmas. Of course it wasn't, and look what happened. And we didn't learn anything from that either, because when the Second World War came along, it was September when it all started. People again were saying exactly the same thing. Oh, it'll blow over, it'll all be over by Christmas. Well, friends, maybe this will blow over. Maybe it will all be over by Christmas. Somehow, I'm not so sure. And it's one of those cases where I hope I'm proved wrong, but I don't want this to escalate any more than it has already. So we've got to pray for the situation, the current situation. Now, again, I say that, but again, I've been proved wrong in the past. I thought if we had a national pandemic, that our churches would be filled, or our prayer meetings at the very least would be overflowing with believers coming and falling before the Lord and crying out to Him in prayer and in desperation. Now, that didn't happen. As I've said, I've just said that the exact opposite happened, and rather than people running into the churches and looking to God, the exact opposite seems to have happened. So what is it going to take? Is it going to take a war to drive people to their knees and drive themselves to prayer? Well, I hope, as I said, I'll announce on Sunday that we will be concentrating on prayer for Ukraine, our next prayer meeting, and hopefully that will bring people down and to come together to prayer. Now, I know people always say, I don't need to go to church to pray. We can pray by ourselves in our own homes, at our own times, at our leisure. We don't really have to come together for prayer. Well, friends, there's a specialness about coming together for prayer. When people gather together at any time, it's something different, it's something special. We're not just meant to be isolated Christians, we're meant to be relational, we're meant to be together and to come together, and the Lord is drawing us together, and He's making us into this great spiritual temple which He Himself will inhabit. Now, I know He does that, and He comes within each and every believer, and our body is a temple in that sense, because the Lord indwells us. But friends, there's also a special emphasis about God's people coming together for worship, for prayer, to look to Him, and that brings with it an added dimension of the work of the Spirit amongst His people. So it's imperative, I believe, that we don't remain isolated, but we come together at all times, but especially in times of distress and difficulty. I look around, friends, I see the world groaning. I see an awful lot of stuff that is so unsavoury. It's just, to me, the descent of man. I know a pile of years back there was a controversial series on television about evolution, and it was called The Ascent of Man, as if things were getting better and better and better. Friends, I look around and I see things getting worse and worse and worse, and we have at least planted the seed that perhaps, just perhaps, the return of the Lord is just around the corner. And are we aware of that? Are we prepared for that? Are we looking at things in that way? Friends, every day brings the Lord's return that one day closer. So the time is getting shorter. We don't know how much time we've left. But surely the fact that the time's getting shorter should bring us to our senses, in the sense that we have all to be busy gathering in the harvest that is all around us. The harvest is ripe, the harvest is ready. People need to be gathered in to God's kingdom. But for that to happen, the labourers, the reapers, have to be sent out into that harvest. So that's our job as followers of the Lord Jesus Christ. We are to help in whatever way the Lord leads us to gather in that harvest. And as I've often said, when the very last person is gathered into God's kingdom, and we don't know who that person is or when that will happen, but God does. But when the last person to be saved is saved, when the last person is gathered safely into God's kingdom, then, as I've often said, there's no point in this world going on. There's no point in the sorrow and the misery and the pain and the death continuing any longer. When the final person is gathered into God's kingdom, time up. May the Lord return and bring an end to all the sad and sorry tale that this world is engaged in. So please unite together in prayer for the world generally, for this war in particular, and may we see the Lord overrule. May we see wonderful things being done, and may that delay His return, in the sense that there will be a lot more people to be gathered into His kingdom, and it would be good to see that happen before the final day does come. Okay, I'm sorry I can't be a little bit more upbeat. I don't think the time is right for any lightheartedness. We're thinking about what's happening in the world around us. We should be concerned. We should be going to the Lord because we don't seem to be able to sort it out. So we're going to have to leave it with Him. And the way we do that is talk to Him individually and collectively. That's important as well in prayer. So please pray for the situation generally. And please join us in prayer as well, if not on Sunday, on Tuesday during our prayer meeting. That's all for now. Please keep safe in the midst of all that's happening, and may the Lord keep and protect you until we chat again. Until that time comes, once again I'm saying bye for now.